This isn't really a story about money. It's not about billion-dollar empires or cars or steel. This is the story of a man who had everything the world could possibly offer. And yet, he lived alone. A man who proved that real strength isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, but about having the most unwavering heart. This is the story of Ratan Tata, and it all starts with a single guiding principle.
And this, right here, this is the key to understanding the man. Now, that's not a statement of arrogance, not at all. It's a declaration of total ownership, a promise to see every single decision through, no matter what gets in the way. It's the mindset that would turn impossible dreams and even his most devastating failures into absolute legends. I mean, think about it. We live in a world that so often rewards the loudest, the flashiest, the ones who shout about their own success. But he chose a completely different path. He was quiet, he was shy, and he was deeply humble. This is the story of how that quiet strength built one of the world's most respected empires and inspired millions.
So, to really understand the man, we have to go back to the boy. Because long before the boardrooms and the global deals, there was this shy kid who was born right into a storm. And his foundation, you see, it wasn't built on the kind of privilege you'd expect. It was built on a foundation of pain that would shape his character for the rest of his life. Okay, so he was born into one of India's most famous families, sure. But when he was just 10 years old, his whole world just fractured. His parents divorced, which was an incredibly rare and stigmatizing thing back in 1940s India, and he was sent to live with his grandmother. Later, in a quiet act of rebellion, he went off to America to study architecture at Cornell, chasing his own dream instead of the business destiny that was all laid out for him. But that freedom, well, it wasn't meant to last. A call came. His grandmother was sick, and duty pulled him back home, forcing him to make a choice that would leave a permanent scar on his heart.
This was the lesson that was drilled into him by his grandmother, Lady Navarshbai. She was the one who raised him, who gave him the stability he'd lost, and who taught him the one value that would become his life's compass. He was surrounded by incredible wealth, but she made damn sure he was never defined by it. This simple, powerful idea became the absolute bedrock of his entire leadership style.
While he was studying in the US, Ratan fell deeply in love. They were engaged, they were planning a future together. But when that call came about his grandmother, he went back to India, promising he'd return for her. He thought love would wait, but the world, it just moved on without him. The 1962 Indochina War made travel complicated, and her parents, who were worried about the uncertainty, married her to someone else. It was a heartbreak that would define his entire personal life. He never married. A brutal lesson that some things, no matter how badly you want them, are just completely out of your control.
So after losing his first love, Ratan returned to India with this quiet fire burning inside him. But he didn't just walk into a corner office. Oh no, his trial wasn't in the boardroom. It was on the factory floor, where he would learn the family business from the ground up, facing skepticism and resistance at every single turn.
And this is where his story just completely shatters every expectation you might have of a wealthy heir. In 1962, he joins Tata Steel, not as some director, but as a blue-collar worker on the shop floor. He started with a helmet, not a suit. His days were spent shoveling limestone, working the blast furnaces, side by side with the very people who were the lifeblood of the company. This wasn't for show, it was a deep-seated need to understand the business from its very core.
But here's the thing, nobody thought he was CEO material. For decades, the powerful old guard of the Tata Group, these men who ran their divisions like their own little kingdoms, they saw him as a kid, an outsider meddling in their business. They blocked his ideas, they rejected his modern proposals, and they openly said he would destroy the company if he ever took charge. But he wasn't loud. He didn't fight back with anger. He just watched. He learned, and he waited.
Then, in 1991, the moment arrived. The legendary J.R.D. Tata named Ratan as his successor, and it shocked the entire business world. The soft kid was now in charge of this messy, disconnected empire of over 90 companies, each running like its own little country. The old guard predicted total disaster, but they completely underestimated him. He didn't make some grand speech or declare war. No, instead he started a silent revolution. He patiently brought all the companies together under a single Tata brand. He gently but firmly enforced a mandatory retirement age for the old leaders who resisted change, and he started making huge bets on the future: innovation, technology, and global expansion.
And this brings us to what is maybe the central conflict of his entire career. It's a story that starts with a patriotic dream, descends into a humiliating failure, and then ends with one of the most incredible reversals of fortune in corporate history. It's a story about a car, an insult, and a promise he made to himself.
It was such a simple question he asked his team back in the 90s. At the time, India's roads were just full of foreign cars. He had this vision of a car that was built entirely in India, by Indians, for Indians. You see, this wasn't just about business, this was about national pride. And even though everyone told him it was impossible, he pushed forward.
In 1998, he launched his dream, the Tata Indica. At first, the excitement was huge, but it quickly turned into an absolute nightmare. The car had issues, sales just plummeted, and the media, who had praised him before, now just relentlessly attacked him. The failure was public, it was painful, and for him, it was deeply personal. The pressure to just sell the whole failing car division was immense. So, with a heavy heart, in 1999, he and his team flew to Detroit to try and sell the business to Ford. And for 3 hours, they were made to feel small. And then came the ultimate humiliation. The Ford chairman, Bill Ford, told him right to his face, "You don't know anything about cars. Why did you even start this? We'll do you a favor by buying it." Ratan Tata just listened silently, thanked him for his time, and flew back to India that very same evening. The deal was off.
He came back to India not defeated, but determined. That insult, that became his fuel. He personally led the charge to completely re-engineer the Indica, and within 2 years, it became a bestseller. But he never forgot those words. He waited. 9 years went by, and now the year is 2008, and the world is in the middle of a devastating financial crisis. And in just a stunning twist of fate, Ford, the very same company that had insulted him, was now on the brink of bankruptcy. They were desperate to sell their iconic luxury brands Jaguar and Land Rover just to stay alive. And the man who flew to Detroit to buy them, with a check for $2.3 billion, was Ratan Tata.
The same Ford chairman who had once looked down on him now said these words. It wasn't about revenge. It was pure, poetic justice. It was a moment that showed the entire world what a quiet man with an unbreakable will could really achieve. And by the way, under Tata's leadership, Jaguar and Land Rover became profitable in just 2 years. By the way, if you're finding this story as insightful as I am, you will absolutely love our explainer on the life of Abraham Lincoln. I'll drop a link in the top corner and also down in the description for you. Now, after a massive global triumph like that, Ratan Tata could have just relaxed. But his biggest dream? It wasn't about luxury cars. It was about the common person. And this dream would lead him to his most personal and most painful project, a project born not out of ambition, but out of pure empathy. One day in Mumbai, he was stuck in traffic during a downpour, and he looked out his car window, and what he saw, it moved him so deeply that it sparked an obsession, a promise that he would spend years trying to fulfill. This was the image, an entire family, dangerously balanced on a single scooter, trying to shield themselves from the pouring rain. And he asked himself, why should a family have to risk their lives like this? Why can't I build them a safe car for the price of a motorbike? And just like that, the dream of the Tata Nano, the people's car, was born. But this dream, which was born from such compassion, it just slammed into a brutal reality. First, massive political protests forced him to abandon his nearly finished factory, a move that cost millions. And then, when the car finally did launch, the market rejected it. The very people it was meant for didn't see it as affordable, they saw it as cheap, a status symbol of being poor. You see, this failure was different. It wasn't just about business, this was deeply personal. The one project that came straight from his heart was misunderstood and rejected. It broke his heart, not because the company lost money, but because he felt like his promise to that family on the scooter was, in the end, unfulfilled. In the final chapter of his leadership, after all the triumphs and the heartbreaks, the focus really shifts, and we get to see what was truly driving Ratan Tata all along. It was never about piling up wealth for himself, it was about using that wealth to build a nation and to lift other people up. Now this is what's so incredible. This slide really reveals the secret sauce of the Tata Empire. A staggering 66% of the parent company, Tata Sons, is owned by charitable trusts. What that means is, the vast majority of the profits don't go to the family. They are legally required to flow back into philanthropy for the good of the country. And this is how those profits were actually used. He wasn't just building companies, he was building a country. From creating affordable cancer hospitals so the poor wouldn't have to suffer alone, to funding education, to mentoring young entrepreneurs without asking for a single share in return. His work was quiet, often anonymous, but its impact, it was immeasurable.
And yet, in the middle of all this public success and this incredible contribution, the sacrifice he made as a young man just echoed through his entire life. A profound, private loneliness remained. He confessed this once, revealing the deep personal cost of his dedication. He had built an empire, he'd won the respect of the world, but at the end of the day, he always came home to an empty house.
This idea, right here, it just perfectly captures his life's philosophy. He was born into wealth, but he made a conscious choice to dedicate his life not to getting more for himself, but to being of service to others. He has pledged that when he passes, his entire personal fortune will go to the charitable trusts. His legacy isn't what he owns, it's what he built for other people.
And so, his story leaves us with this really powerful question. In a world that so often measures success in numbers, followers, and wealth, Ratan Tata offers us a different definition. His life challenges us to think about our own legacy. It's not about what you have, but what you give. It's not about how loudly you lived, but how deeply you touched the lives of others. So I'll leave you with this. What does it mean to you to live a useful life?